The sun of Zephora shone in colors no human had ever seen before. The sky was a swirl of violet and gold, and the air carried a sweet electric hum that made the hair on one's arms stand on end. From the top of a crystalline spire, Princess Lyra gazed at her city. The streets below shimmered with light reflected from the towers, and the people moved like ants through the bustling marketplaces. She had walked these streets countless times, yet she felt restless today. Something in the air told her that trouble was coming, and she could not ignore it. Lyra adjusted the hood of her cloak. She preferred moving unseen. Even though she was the princess, she wanted to see her people as they truly were, without the weight of ceremony and guards. She stepped lightly down the narrow alleys, blending into the crowd. Her mind wandered to the reports she had received earlier that week. Strange mercenaries, cloaked in dark armor, had been spotted near the northern valleys. They had no loyalty to any nation on Zephora, and their intentions were unclear. Lyra had already sent patrols to investigate, but now she felt the urge to see for herself. Her boots made soft clicks on the metal floor of a bridge as she crossed over a stream of liquid crystal. She looked down and saw small ships gliding along the waterways, their engines leaving faint, shimmering trails. Everything seemed peaceful, almost too peaceful. That was when she noticed movement from the edge of the forest that bordered the city. Shadows slipped between the trees, fast and silent. Her pulse quickened. Before she could react, a figure lunged from the shadows. Lyra barely had time to draw a defensive staff before another figure appeared behind the first. The two mercenaries moved with deadly precision, striking as one. Lyra fought bravely, deflecting a strike here and there, but she was outnumbered. Panic flickered through her, but she refused to show fear. Then a third figure appeared, a human. She had seen humans before, mostly diplomats or council members, but they were small and fragile compared to Zypherans. This human, however, moved differently, calmly, confidently. He stepped into the fray without hesitation. With a series of swift movements, he disarmed one mercenary and sent the other sprawling to the ground. Lyra blinked. The human didn't shout or boast. He just moved like he knew exactly what he was doing. "Can you protect me, human?" she asked, her voice half challenge, half question. She did not expect an answer, and certainly not the one that came. "I don't just protect. I make sure you survive," he said quietly, his eyes scanning the trees for any other threats. Lyra felt a strange mixture of awe and skepticism. He was human, yet there was a strength and calmness in him she had never seen before. Normally, humans were clumsy, easily intimidated. This one was different. "Stay close," he said, moving to her side. "We have company." True to his words, more figures emerged from the trees. They were fast, masked, and clearly trained. Lyra tightened her grip on her staff, ready to fight. But she noticed the human did not draw a weapon immediately. Instead, he observed, calculated, and moved with a precision that was almost unnatural. The battle that followed was quick and efficient. The human fought with skill and strength that no Zypheran soldier could match alone. He used his body, the environment, and even the terrain to his advantage. Lyra watched in amazement. With each encounter, she realized something she had never considered. Humans could be far stronger than her people believed, not just in strength, but in mind and spirit. When the last mercenary fell unconscious to the ground, Lyra exhaled. Her heart still pounded, but fear had left her. She looked at the human, studying him. "You're not like any human I've ever met," she said. He shrugged. "I do my best. Now we need to move." "They will regroup." Lyra hesitated. Pride and caution warred within her. She had always handled danger on her own. Yet something in the human's presence made her feel safer than she had with her own guards. She nodded slowly. "Lead the way." As they moved through the forest surrounding the city, Lyra began to notice other things. The human, whose name she later learned was Captain Alex Ryden, didn't just fight with strength. He thought ahead. He predicted where danger would come from, and he found ways to avoid it or turn it against their enemies. He was resourceful in ways her people rarely were. Hours passed and the forest thickened. Strange creatures called the shadows of the undergrowth, small but quick, flitted around. They hissed when they spotted the human and the princess, but Alex dealt with them without unnecessary force. He used his environment, setting traps and guiding the creatures away, all while keeping Lyra protected. By the time they reached the edge of a high cliff, overlooking a valley bathed in the glow of the setting sun, Lyra could not hide her admiration. "I underestimated humans," she admitted softly. You are much stronger than we believed. Alex did not reply immediately. He only watched the valley below, scanning for threats. Strength isn't just about fighting, he said finally. It's about thinking, surviving, and protecting those who can't protect themselves. Lyra studied him, realizing the truth in his words. All her life she had been told humans were fragile, easy to overlook. But here was proof to the contrary. She had seen his courage, his skill, and his mind in action. He was a human who could stand among the greatest warriors of her planet and not falter. Night fell and the forest became darker. Strange sounds echoed around them, some from creatures, others perhaps from the mercenaries still searching. Alex found a safe spot for the night, camouflaged and hidden from sight. He made no fire, too risky. He simply assessed the surroundings and prepared for any attack. Lyra tried to rest but found it impossible. Her mind replayed the day's events, her own pride clashing with the undeniable truth. Humans. Maybe they were capable of things her people had never dreamed. She watched Alex as he kept vigil, alert and ready. She realized she had more to learn about him, about humans and perhaps about herself as well. Before dawn, a faint noise stirred her. Alex was already awake, eyes sharp. He motioned for her to follow. Quietly, they moved through the forest, descending into the valley. Mist clung to the ground and the rising sun painted the crystals in strange hues. It was beautiful, but Lyra had no time to admire it. Alex was alert, moving in ways that suggested danger could appear at any moment. And it did. A massive shadow moved across the valley floor. Dozens of mercenaries, armed with alien weapons and mounted machines, were advancing. Lyra froze for a moment, fear creeping back. But Alex didn't hesitate. He signaled her to stay low and began positioning themselves strategically. Using the terrain, he prepared an ambush, calculating each move, each shot, each path of attack. Lyra realized something astonishing. She, the princess of Zephora, was being protected by a human, a species she had dismissed. And she was starting to trust him completely, something she had never done with anyone outside her family. The first wave of attackers appeared, and Alex struck. He moved faster than the eye could follow, disarming, dodging, and countering with precision. Lyra followed his lead, using her staff to assist when necessary. But it was Alex who drove the battle. By the time the sun had fully risen, the mercenaries were either incapacitated or retreating. Lyra stood beside Alex, heart racing but filled with awe. She had asked him if he could protect her, half in jest, half in hope. The answer was clear now. Not only could he protect her, he could surpass anyone she had ever known. She looked at him, still catching her breath. I didn't know humans could be like this, she said softly. Alex smiled faintly, almost humbly. We're stronger than people think. Sometimes it takes the right moment to show it. Lyra nodded, understanding. She had learned an important lesson that day. Strength came in many forms, and humans were not to be underestimated. She felt a new respect, a new bond forming, one that could change her world forever. And for the first time, she considered that perhaps she didn't have to face the challenges ahead alone. This concludes Part 1, around 2,000 words, action-packed HFY third person and in simple English. It sets up. The valley below the cliffs was quiet now, but the silence was temporary. The retreating mercenaries had not gone far, and Princess Lyra and Captain Alex Ryden both knew it. The sun had risen fully, casting the crystalline forests in dazzling light, but that beauty was deceptive. Danger was still very close. Lyra tightened her cloak around her shoulders. She had never felt such a mix of awe and caution. Alex had protected her with skill she had never imagined possible. Yet she also realized that the mercenaries were clever. They would return, and this time their attack would be larger, more organized, and harder to defeat. Alex crouched behind a jagged rock, his sharp eyes scanning the forest floor. They'll come back, he said quietly. We need to set a plan, use the terrain to our advantage, and be ready for anything. Lyra nodded. She had always been trained to think strategically, but Alex's mind worked differently. He saw opportunities where she saw danger, and he understood the mercenaries' patterns almost instinctively. She began to follow his lead, placing her trust entirely in this human she had once underestimated. They moved quickly through the valley, careful not to leave tracks in the shimmering crystal paths. Alex marked positions, noting natural choke points and potential ambush spots. He explained his plan as they went. We'll draw them into the canyon. Narrow space, limited movement, maximum advantage for us. We can control the battle from there. Lyra listened closely. She realized humans could be both strong and smart. Alex was living proof. His strategies combined careful observation, quick thinking, and fearless action. She had always thought her people were unmatched in intelligence and combat, but Alex made her question everything. By mid-morning, the first wave of mercenaries returned. They were larger this time, dozens of them, armed with alien rifles that glowed with energy. Lyra felt her pulse quicken, but she kept close to Alex. He had already calculated their path and set traps along the way, fallen logs disguised as obstacles, strategically placed crystal shards that would trip the attackers, and narrow passages where their numbers would not matter. The mercenaries advanced, confident and aggressive. They did not expect resistance, not from a human. Alex waited until the right moment, then signaled Lyra. Together they struck. Lyra used her staff to strike precise blows, while Alex moved faster than the eye could follow, disarming, dodging, and countering with efficiency that seemed almost impossible. Several mercenaries fell before they even realized what was happening. Others tried to regroup, but Alex anticipated their movements. He guided Lyra, coordinated their attacks, and ensured that neither of them was ever overwhelmed. Lyra began to understand the depth of his strength, not just physical, but mental, tactical, and instinctive. Hours passed in a blur of motion. The valley echoed with the sounds of battle, and the sunlight reflected off the crystalline landscape, creating blinding flashes that seemed almost magical. Lyra was exhausted, but she did not falter. Alex's presence gave her courage, and his calm determination inspired her to push beyond her own limits. As the battle continued, Alex noticed a larger threat, a cybernetically enhanced alien warrior leading the mercenaries. Its movements were fast, mechanical, and lethal. He knew that if they did not stop this leader, the mercenaries would regroup and overwhelm them. "This one is dangerous," Alex said. "We take him together or we lose everything." Lyra nodded. She felt fear, but it was tempered by trust. She had seen what Alex could do, and she was ready to follow him into any challenge. The leader advanced, its energy weapons glowing with deadly light. Alex and Lyra moved as one, coordinating attacks with precision. Lyra distracted the warrior, forcing it to strike, while Alex found weak points in its armor. Each strike, each movement was calculated. The warrior's strength was formidable, but Alex's ingenuity and Lyra's agility allowed them to gain the upper hand. Finally, with a combination of human strategy and Sci-Fi skill, Alex delivered a precise strike that disabled the warrior's cybernetic systems. The leader collapsed, and the remaining mercenaries, seeing their commander defeated, began to flee. Lyra lowered her staff, breathless and amazed. She looked at Alex with a mixture of respect and wonder. I never imagined humans could do this," she admitted. Alex shook his head. "Strength is not just about power. It's about using your mind, your surroundings, and every advantage you can find. Humans. We've learned to survive in ways others cannot imagine." The valley was silent now, save for the rustling of the wind through the crystalline trees. Lyra realized that not only had Alex protected her, but he had also protected her people, her city, and the future of her planet. She stepped closer to him. "You have changed my view of humans completely," she said. "I see now that your strength is far more than anyone believed." Alex smiled faintly. "I only do what is necessary. That is all anyone can do." The two of them walked back toward the city together. Along the way, Lyra noticed how people looked at Alex with curiosity and awe. He moved differently than any Sci-Fi, yet there was a calm authority about him. People instinctively respected him, even without knowing the full story of the battle. When they reached the palace, Lyra's advisors and guards gathered, ready to question her about the morning's events. She raised her hand, silencing them. "This human saved not only me, but also our city. We owe him our lives." The advisors looked at Alex with surprise and skepticism, but Lyra's confidence was enough. She continued, "From now on, he will stay as my protector and advisor. We have much to learn from him and from the humans he represents." Alex inclined his head respectfully. "I am honored, Princess. My duty is to protect and serve, nothing more." That evening, as the sun set over Zephora, Lyra and Alex stood on the palace balcony, overlooking the city. The sky glowed with colors that made the crystals shimmer like a sea of stars. Lyra felt a sense of calm she had not experienced before. She had faced danger, uncertainty, and fear, and she had survived not alone, but with a human she now trusted completely. "I underestimated you," she said softly, almost to herself. "I thought humans were weak, but you've shown me that strength comes in many forms." Alex looked at her, his expression serious but kind. "Strength is not measured by size or species. It is measured by courage, intelligence, and the will to protect what matters." Lyra nodded. She understood now that this human had not only saved her life, but also changed the way she saw her world. Humans, she realized, were a force to be reckoned with, capable of feats beyond imagination. Over the following days, Alex trained with the palace guards, sharing his knowledge of tactics, combat, and strategy. Lyra observed closely, learning not only from him but also about herself. She had always relied on tradition and the strength of her people, but now she saw that innovation, adaptability, and courage could change everything. Rumors of the battle spread quickly across Zephora. People spoke of the human who had saved their princess, who had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. Skeptics became believers, and respect for humans grew. Lyra felt proud, not just of Alex, but of the new understanding that had begun to take root among her people. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise over the crystalline city, Lyra turned to Alex. "You've done more than protect me," she said. "You've changed how we see the universe and ourselves." "I cannot thank you enough." Alex smiled, a quiet, humble smile. "I only did what anyone should do. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is all." Lyra looked at him and realized that she had not just found a protector but a partner in vision. Together, they could face any challenge, any enemy, and any uncertainty the universe might throw at them. The bond between human and princess was stronger than any weapon, and it was built on trust, courage, and mutual respect. As the moons climbed higher in the sky, Lyra and Alex stood side by side watching the city below. The threats of the past had been overcome, but the future was full of possibilities. With humans like Alex in her corner, Lyra knew that no challenge was too great, no enemy too powerful, and no threat too dire. The princess had asked him if he could protect her. He had done more than that. He had shown her the true strength of humanity, and in doing so, he had earned a place not just by her side but in the hearts of her people. And Zephora, a world that had once underestimated humans, would never see them the same way again.